I wish there was a place where I could get all my UCCS athletics information. I wish there was a place where I could go and I could get game previews and game results. And I wish there was a place where I could go and I could get interviews with coaches and players.
There is, and it's called The Lion's Den, and it's found exclusively right here on UCCS Radio. So join hosts MJ and Martin every Tuesday at 10 on The Lion's Den, the official source for UCCS sports.
I'm Scott Peterson, head coach of the UCCS softball team, and you're tuned in to The Lion's Den, the official source of UCCS sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you're tuned in to The Lion's Den, the official source for UCCS sports. I'm the sports MC, MJ Arjamandi, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, the lovely Amber McAfee. Amber, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good.
It's time for The Lion's Den, so it's time to be really good. That's right. It's better than pretty good. It's great here on The Lion's Den. Another wonderful day of UCCS athletics to cover. But before we get to all that, how was your weekend, Amber?
Fantastic. Do you know why?
Why?
My Redskins got on the board.
Yeah.
Right.
You know how? They beat my Raiders.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
Did you see that game?
I did.
It was horrible.
It was great.
Oh, okay. Well, difference of opinions, perception is key, I suppose. We were in position to win that game, Amber.
I know. They gave me a mini heart attack in the first half of the game, but we came back.
That blocked punt?
Yeah.
Huh? We had as many defensive touchdowns as offensive touchdowns. I don't know if that bodes well for the defense or bodes poorly for the offense.
I have no idea.
Either way, we lost. So that wasn't good. Okay, so you had a good weekend.
I did.
Yeah? Did you run another 90
I
minutes?
did.
You did?
I did.
Did you run to Denver?
No.
You could have been halfway there by then.
Yeah, I was like, if I would have kept going, I probably could have made it, yeah.
Yeah? So where'd you run? Where'd you go?
We ran down by Zio's.
Zio's?
Like Italian restaurant.
Did you run to dinner and then work off the dinner running back
home?
home?
They were open during that time we ran. I sure would have went and got some dinner.
Oh. Were you running before the restaurant was open?
Yeah.
Running with the Roosters?
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, well, aside from running to Zio's and watching the Raiders lose and the Redskins win, how was your weekend aside from those things?
Pretty good. It was homework filled.
Homework filled. That is precisely the student athletes that we praise here at UCCS, spending their time working on their sport and then the rest of their time dedicating to their studies.
Yeah.
What a great ambassador for the cross-country program here at UCCS, Amber.
Yep.
That is excellent. Well, Amber, we have a lot of things to cover today. We have women's soccer. They finally lost. I say that, but that's a bad thing. It's not a good thing they finally lost, but that is bad. But they lost. They were doing so good, but they lost to a really tough team. So
it's not really technically a loss if it was to a good team.
Right. Okay, we can roll with that. So they finally didn't win.
That's right.
All right, we can roll with that. Men's soccer, since last time we talked, went 1-1-1.
Right.
They were 1-1-1 when we last met, and they went 1-1-1 again.
Oh, wow.
They're doing everything. Those soccer kids doing everything. Volleyball had a great weekend. They swept on the road 2 conference games. That was big. Men's golf, they had a good performance last week in Durango. Women's golf came in second in Alamosa. That's good stuff. And then, as you know, cross country had the weekend off.
That's right.
I wouldn't say the weekend off, though. I would say probably a weekend of preparation for the upcoming events.
That would be more accurate.
More accurate.
That would be.
That's right. Well, we got head coach Mark Misch in the studio from the men's cross-country team. I think he would also agree that they didn't have the weekend off. But hopefully they were preparing diligently for the upcoming event next weekend. We're going to find out in just a few moments because, Amber, guess who's in the studio today?
Who?
Well, you already know because he's in the studio and you see him.
That's right.
Plus, You were the one who got him on the show.
That's right.
Great props to you getting the coup. So, yeah, you already know who's on the show. It's head coach Mark Misch of the UCCS men's cross country team. He's going to give us the lowdown on the team, the state of the union kind of thing. You know, how's the team doing? How are they looking? How's Amber? How does she do? All those kinds of things. We're going to figure it all out in just a few minutes right here on the Lions Den. But in the meantime, don't go anywhere because we're going to get to that interview in just a few minutes right here on the Lions Den when we return in just a few minutes.
Sip on the green, got a pocket full of cheddar, naked bitches giving brain. I'm a home run hitter.
Ooh, I got a body full of liquor with a cold, cold kicker, and I'm feeling like I'm 30 feet tall. So lay it down, lay it down. You got your legs up in the sky with the devil in your eyes. Let me hear you say you want it all. Say it now, say it now. Look what you're doing, look what you've done. But in this jungle you can't run, 'cause what I got for you, I promise it's a killer. You'll be banging on my chest, bang, bang, gorilla. You and me, baby, making love like gorillas. You and me, baby, making love like gorillas. Yeah, I got a fistful of your hair, but you don't look like you're scared. You just smile and tell me, Daddy, it's yours. 'Cause you know how I like it, use a dirty little lover. If the neighbors call the cops, call the sheriff, call the SWAT, we don't stop, we keep rocking while they're knocking on our door. And you're screaming, give it to me, baby, give it to me, motherfucker. Oh, look what you're doing, look what you've done. But in this jungle you can't run, 'cause what I got for you, I promise it's a killer. You'll be banging on my chest, bang, bang, gorilla. You and me, baby, making love like gorillas. You and me, baby, making love like gorillas. I bet you never ever felt so good, so good. I got your body trembling like it should, it should. You'll never be the same, baby, once I'm done with you. Ooh, 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 oh, you with me, baby, making love like gorillas. Ooh, 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 yeah. You and me, baby, with me like gorillas.
I'm Steve Kirkham, Director of Athletics for UCCS. You're tuned in to the Lions Den, the official source of UCCS sports.
Hello, everybody. John Sly here. If you are a connoisseur of independent music and fed up with never hearing it on the radio, then tune in to my show, Sly's Independent Radio Hour, every Thursday at 5 o'clock p.m. to hear the latest in independent music.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you're tuned in to the Lion's Den, the official source for UCCS sports. Miss McAfee, when I ask you what makes the Lion's Den the official source for UCCS sports, what comes to mind?
They give the inside scoops on everything and anything.
Such as?
Interviews with the coaches and the athletes.
Like what coaches?
Coach Misch, our head men's cross country coach.
That's right. Well, live in the studio right now, as Amber just mentioned, the head coach of the UCCS men's cross country team, Mark Misch. Thank you so much for joining us here today. How you doing today, sir?
Great. It's good to be here. In case any of the guys in the team are hearing this, I need to give some props to the Kansas City Chiefs since they're 4-0.
Oh, no. Props to the Chiefs.
I tell you, man, I get a lot of guff from those guys. I grew up in Kansas, so I'm a Chiefs fan. And last year we took a horrific beating at 2-14, so I got guff every single week. And so now it's good to be giving some back to them.
Already twice as many wins as all of last season.
Yeah, but that's history. So we're focused on 2013. So.
Well, how does that feel? Before we go any further, to be a Chiefs fan, knowing how good the team's doing. I'm a Raider fan. I acknowledge that every week. We're not going anywhere this season. So how does it feel to have a team that's good after having a team that did so poorly last year?
Well, I think we kind of anticipated it'd have to be better.
It couldn't be much worse.
They kind of cleaned house with everything, with all their management and coaching staff, and brought in some good players. But it's pretty fun. Coach Harmer, our women's coach, he's also a Chiefs fan. So we give it back to him, the guys, a lot, and I hear it all the time. So it's good. It keeps it going. But they're playing November 17th in Mile High. That's the first time they play. They play 2 weeks later.
So that one's on the calendar. Circled,
it is,
marked, ready to go.
It is. So we'll see. But
That'll
anyway,
be exciting.
But yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff. Well, how are the cross-country teams looking? Are they looking as good as the Chiefs right now? Chiefs are 4-0 undefeated. I mean, it's hard to look better. But our teams, historically, for cross-country have been very good. So right now, what's the current state of the cross-country team?
Well, like I said, Coach Harmer, he coaches the women, and as well as, Amber here. And, he could speak more specific to where they're at. But they're doing quite well, I can tell you that much. Both of us, both men's and women's teams, have a meet this coming Saturday at Washington Park in Denver. Metro State hosts it. And then 3 just real good weeks of training, and then we head into kind of the championship time of the season, the RMAC meet down in western New Mexico, long ways from here. And then 2 weeks later is the regional championships in Canyon, Texas, and 2 weeks later, hopefully, the NCAA championships back out in Spokane, Washington. So we're kind of coming up to the midpoint of the season pretty soon, but really in our sport, everything before the conference and regionals is kind of icing on the cake. And everywhere on the country, some people look great right now. Some have been running some big meets and stuff, but we've been kind of lying low intentionally this season. We didn't travel anywhere big with the guys because we have a long trip for conference and regionals and hopefully nationals. And the conference is so competitive that it's really all we need heading into regionals. We don't really need to go chase after any big meets this year. So we had 24 guys on the roster, 11 new guys, and also Coach Wilson's a grad assistant. So that being said, we just kind of stayed at home, training a lot right now, kind of getting the collective pulse of the group, keep moving forward till we get to the big stuff that counts. But they're doing a good job. They're a good group of guys. They're easy to coach. They're good to work with, and so yeah, it's solid right now.
So you mentioned a pretty different looking team this season. You had quite a few graduating seniors from last year, not back on the team this season. But it sounds like you feel pretty confident in the team as a whole and the group that you have. And can you talk a little bit about that transition from the seniors last year who really led the team to this season where they graduated and you have a lot more fresh, younger players? Can you talk about how that dynamic fits into the team this season?
Well, yeah, I mean, every single year is different. There's different dynamics. I mean, I've been coaching quite a few years, and we've had different teams be successful in different ways, and that's the fun challenge of coaching is the art side of it, which is putting everything together, like seeing the big picture and how you need to get there. And there's definitely not a clear path where every year is the same. Our goals are similar, but we redshirted a lot of guys last year, and we've redshirted all our freshmen this year. So even though that the roster may say, "Hey, this guy's a freshman," they've been in the program and they've put in some time, and they're pretty hungry to be, a contributor. They want to be on the team come championship time. So we certainly did graduate some guys, but we're I would say that we're somewhere between our 2011 team and last year in terms of experience, probably potential, what the season could look like. But it always comes down to regionals. Bottom line is November 9th is the day you got to get it done, and that's where our focus really is. So, it's a work in progress, not just for us, but for every other team. And but I think they're doing a good job with where we're at. Luke Dakin's a team captain. Him and Matt Winfrey both returned from running NCAA championships. Nick Baca was a transfer from Garden State Junior College, and he ran the Junior College National Meet, and he's from down the road and Peyton. And he's fit in real well and been a top 3 or 4 guy for us. So we've got a lot of guys that are really close in terms of a pack, and the bigger the race and the farther the distance, that is going to help us more and more. So we might not really have a front runner per se, or somebody that's going to catch a lot of people's eyes, but kind of history of the program has generally been that we've been successful with our pack. We've been able to offset some of the other teams 1 and 2 guys with putting a bunch of guys in front of maybe their 4 and 5 guy. So nothing really changes. That's kind of the same thing we're looking at this year. So yeah.
How do you feel we're going to stack up amongst the other teams if we go to nationals and at RMAC and regionals?
Well, I think that, I always tell our guys, I don't really get into the rankings and all that stuff because they don't really mean anything. I mean, one year, my second year here, we weren't ranked in the top 10 in the region, but I knew we were good. I knew we were pretty good. And we qualified at regionals and we were 17th in the nation. And and people are like, "What in the world?" I'm like, "That's why you run the races." I'm not really worried about some guy's opinion somewhere and where he wants to put us at. And then, and then 2 years ago, it was a similar situation where I think we were ranked 8th in the region, and there was 7 nationally ranked teams in front of us. But we felt really confident about what we were doing, our preparation, how we were going to race on that day, and we were 5th and knocked off 3 nationally ranked teams to advance. And and this year's kind of like that. Last year, I think we were a bit more established, and that we had a little bit of an easier path to the national meet just because of the way the team stacked up. So this year is a good challenge where we're at. The conference is the best in the nation. There's 285 teams, 25 conferences. The RMAC is the best. I mean, on the men's side, all but 2 years since the conference has been Division II, the national champion has come from the conference. There's been years it's been 1, 2, 3 in the nation. I mean, it's just tough. I think for us, our battle is at the regional will be those 4, 5, 6 spots that qualify to advance. That's how we've looked at it all year. The teams like Metro State, West Texas A&M, New Mexico Highlands, Eastern New Mexico, those guys are kind of in the same boat as we are, chasing the same thing. Once you're at the national meet, it's a whole different game. Most of everybody there is there because they're pretty good, and so there's not a lot that separates a lot of those teams in the middle on a given day. But we'll kind of cross that bridge after we get the ticket to get there. So, But that's the hope. So
Makes sense. Well, rumor has it that UCCS is building a new track stadium. And so, from a coach's perspective, I talked to Amber about it a little bit last week. Amber and I were discussing this. From a coach's perspective, what kind of advantage do you think that will give the team, or what kind of benefit to the program as a whole will it be for the UCCS cross-country and track teams to have a home field, a home track to run on, as opposed to going down to Monument Valley Park, actually having something on campus? How excited are you about that, or what's your take on the new stadium?
Well, Coach Harmer and I are on a committee that is, part of this process and have been for a while, and so we've kind of seen the whole thing from the get-go to where it is now, and I think it'll be wonderful, obviously, but I'm not sure when that's all going to come to fruition, so we don't try to plan everything around it. But obviously, when you have a facility that's your own, that's really wonderful, where you're not working around everybody else's schedules and high school tracks, and you have some flexibility. That venue would be designed to be able to host a lot of events. Obviously, soccer is the other main part of that. And then also like high school state meets, things like that, they'd want to put in there. So just the visibility of having something that sits up there off in Nevada, that is great for the program. I mean, it's just great for the school. It's good to say, wow, man, that's really awesome. Like, that stadium's there. And, obviously, if you're an athlete, you take pride in that. And you're like, this is pretty cool. This is my home facility. And, to host events there. We've obviously hosted a lot of cross-country meets down Monument Valley Park, but, host a track event is a little different. So, the positives are endless, but at the same time, the sport, run it from a running standpoint. Running's still running. I mean, whether you're running there or wherever, you got to get the job done. So it doesn't really change, our philosophy or anything, but it certainly helps make the program better. So
you mentioned hosting a tournament, a meet, and you did host one recently for the Rust Buster earlier on in September. Can you talk a little bit about how that went, how the Rust Buster went, planning everything, preparing for everything, hosting everything, and then of course the results of everything? How was the Rust Buster this season, in your opinion?
Well, it was okay. I started that meet, 2008 was the first year we had it. And when I first came to UCCS, we didn't have a home meet. We didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have just things we did for our sport. Like we have a team retreat in the fall and just different things. Building an ice tub. We didn't have an ice tub. We built an ice tub for our team. It's down in Eagle Rock and things like that. But I felt that having a home meet was really crucial. And we wanted to do it at the beginning of the season so that we had all our new people could be part of it, and kids that were going to redshirt even and whatever, and have families come in. And initially when I started, it wasn't designed to be a big to-do. It was supposed to be just as it is, the Rust Buster, which means, just early season small meet. They run under distance for what they usually race at and that kind of thing. But actually after 2 or 3 years, due to the date and some other things, it became this pretty big meet. And in fact, 1 year, there was more finishers in that race than any other college race in Colorado, which was really surprising because, again, we didn't start with that intention. And then just due to different circumstances, like Division I created a rule where they have to have so many meets with only D1 people, and so Colorado State started a meet the same weekend, just different things. So this year it was really a pretty low-key affair. It still accomplished what we wanted to, which was just to get our folks out there and compete. But the preparation's the same, regardless of like how big the field is. The planning starts well in advance, a year in advance, in fact, like securing the park, the contract, just a lot of little things people would never imagine, all your awards and just your hardware for your results and, your official type stuff and the course management, getting things ready, bathrooms. I mean, you name it. There's just a lot of little things. But last year we hosted the RMAC Championships for the first time in school history, which was a big deal, and we spent about 18 months planning that. And that was obviously a much larger scale event, and with the sponsorship involved and some of the cool things that we did with that, it was a neat day. But this was a pretty low-key year for us for that, but it was fine. We got done what we needed, and for the men and women's teams, and now we're on to bigger things. So.
My understanding is you are the Division II cross country first vice president. Can you give us like some inside scoop on that and tell us what you do, what your role is in the process?
Yeah, that sounds really big, doesn't it? Well, like I said a while ago, there's 285 programs in Division II, and the USTF-CCCA is the governing body for all of college cross country and track. So essentially what you have is an executive council, which is each, like D1, D2, D3 have a president, a vice president, a second vice president for cross country, and then one for track. So we deal directly with the NCAA, the USTF-CCCA on everything, just from everything imaginable or sport administrative wise, between where events are, how we're managing these things, rules, awards, championship selection, on and up rankings, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and so I've been involved for a number of years when some things, was on a committee for a while that pushed to get our qualifications changed and stuff, and so there kind of came a point in time when they were nominating people, and I was nominated a year ago, and then they voted on that at the convention, accepted that, and it's a 2-year term, and then would be the president after that. So we have I probably am on 3 committees. We do conference calls with all of them every month, and before that I was what you call the representative from our conference on the executive committee. So, just kind of one of those things that's evolved. And I think I've been doing this for a while, and in coaching, and especially D2. And so you get invested into it, and you care about what's going on. And I never got any coaching to be an administrator, but at the same time, you feel like you get once in a while it's your turn to step up to the plate and take the swings and kind of continue to advance the sport, and try to do some things. They need to fight the fights that need to be fought, and do things right. And so that's what it is. It's not real glamorous, but we spend a lot of spend a lot of hours in conference calls, and then the convention I probably spend, I don't know, 50, 60 hours over 4 days in meetings, and so that comes with the territory. But it's an honor to do it. I work with some great guys and gals who are also on that, in leadership, and people I respect a lot who've put their time in over the years, and so it's an honor, and hopefully we can continue to do some things to help keep things getting better for our sport.
And soon to be president?
Year and a half.
All right.
So we'll see.
Well, we'll be ready for the inauguration. We'll have a big ceremony for you.
All right.
Before a year and a half goes by, we have in less than a week, you're going to be up in Denver, as you mentioned earlier, at Washington Park there for the Metro State Invitational. So real quickly, before we get you out of here, can we get your predictions for this upcoming weekend, and what do you expect from the team up in Denver this weekend for that tournament?
Well, we talked about this more at a team meeting. Our number one thing at this point in the year is just individual and collective progression. Metro State's got a great team this year. Both men and women, in fact, are very good for them. But the men's team we knew would be good. They redshirted some guys last year, and they've been traditionally a good rival of ours. We've battled many years, going back and forth, regionals, nationals, and so they'll be fired up. It's their home turf. They're going to run really well. They got 2 or 3 guys up front that are really solid. we're kind of developing along. Last week when we raced Luke Dakin, that was his first race since May. So he's kind of, and he was ahead of where he was a year ago, and he did great for us. So we're kind of getting the ball rolling, but they'll be probably the team on paper that we'd expect to be the best. And then there's several RMAC schools will be there. I think the field is 10, 11 teams, but we've got a job to do, and each of our guys knows what that is. And then we come back and go back to work. We got 3 big weeks of training, probably the most important part of our season actually, and then we switch gears and really kind of get going. But every time we compete, we always want to do well, and we've got some guys that have a job to do, and they need to kind of prove where they are. But at the same time, emotionally, I don't get a lot of rah-rah speeches at this point in the season because the big stuff is yet to come. And if we're going to have our very best when it counts the most, then we have to anticipate that'll be when it's going to be there, which is November. So we need a good meet. We need to run well. We need to get some things done. But hopefully that is not the highlight of our season.
So a lot of big things to come for cross country this season. It all starts this weekend up in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So we wish you the best of luck and really appreciate you stopping by today to tell the millions and millions of listening Lions out there all about the cross country team and where they stand. So thank you so much for stopping by, and we wish you all the luck this weekend up in Denver. And we know the Mountain Lions are going to do well because that's how the Mountain Lions roll.
Hey, well, thanks you guys for having me on the show, and go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs and go Mountain Lions. And for the millions and millions of listening Lions, don't go anywhere because we're going to come back in just a few minutes right here on the Lions Den, cover all the results from this past weekend, and preview a few of the upcoming games and some things on the horizon, starting with the meet up in Denver. So thanks again, Coach. We definitely appreciate you stopping by, and we'll be back on the Lions Den here in just a few minutes.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy?
I'm Nick Hostetter from the Office of Student Activities. You're tuned into the Lions Den, the official source for UCCS sports.
Ladies up in here tonight. No fighting. We got the refugees up in here. No fight.
Hey everyone, this is Ingrid J with The Scene Radio, and my show features local music, art, poetry, and cultural events. Check us out on Facebook at The Scene Radio, one word. And you want me to play your music or promote some of your shows? Please give me a message and I'd love to support you. Peace, love, namaste.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you're tuned in to the Lions Den, the official source for UCCS sports. And a big thanks to head coach of the UCCS men's cross country and track team, Coach Mark Misch, for stopping by here on the Lions Den. Really appreciate him taking time out of his schedule to come talk to the millions and millions of listening Lions. That's all of you out there listening right now. So thank you, Coach and Amber. We got some stuff we got to cover here on the Lions Den.
Right.
Because although the cross country teams were not in action, many of the UCCS teams were in action.
That's right.
So we got to give the millions and millions the lowdown on what happened was, first, UCCS won against Colorado Christian in women's soccer. And guess who scored their 5th goal of the season? 5th goal in 6 games. Guess who? Can you guess?
Yes. Agnes Arnadaughter.
Agnes Arnadaughter! Can you believe the season that Agnes is having? She is already first all-time in program history for goals scored. We're just 7 games through this season. Many more games to come. And the Mountain Lions won 2-0 against Colorado Christian, which moved their record up to 6-0. They were nationally ranked at 17, Amber.
That's cool.
I know, as a student, as an employee of the athletic department, as a fan, and for you as an athlete.
That's right.
That is really exciting that the women's team was ranked nationally for Division II. I still think they're going to be ranked. However, I think they might fall just a little bit because in the next game, the Mountain Lions fell in a very close 1-0 loss to the 13th ranked team in the nation, Colorado Mines. In that game, though, Amber, Kelly Schroeder had 13 saves.
That's impressive.
Unfortunately for her, she did not have 14, which proved to be the difference in the game.
Oh.
And Agnes Arnadaughter also did not compete in that game, and as a result, a little bit of the offense was lacking. And I didn't watch the game personally, but from what I hear in that game, or hear of that game, there was a bit of a lack of communication amongst the Mountain Lions, and I think that could happen when your star player and Agnes Arnadaughter is not on the court. You know, I was talking with Jared Verner earlier, our sports information director, and I equated the situation to, say, the Miami Heat getting ready for a game, but LeBron doesn't dress up that night. Well, they still have a really good team, and they could still very well win that game. But when you don't have your leader, when you don't have your all-star out there, it kind of does something to your psyche a little bit. And some teams can get up for that and play even better. Some teams kind of suffer as a result of that. And it sounded like the Mountain Lions were a little bit off their game in that game. And they only lost by 1 goal, though. So if you think about the fact that if Agnes was there, could have been a whole different game. Completely different outlook. But, Amber, what's your take on that? Being an athlete yourself and knowing that Agnes wasn't there, do you think that played a part in this game? Or did the Mountain Lions just get beat by a better team who's higher ranked nationally?
I think it plays a part in the team because you do lose your lead person who kind of helps motivate the team and gets them going and whatnot. But for them to only lose by 1 goal to the number 13th ranked team is still not bad for them. I think it kind of helps them learn where they're going to go for the next game and what they need to do. And hopefully someone else can step up to be a leader if need be. I think overall, though, they had a pretty good game, especially for Kelly, who got the 13 saves.
Schroeder!
That's right. So, I don't know. See.
Well, I think what you said was right on the money, which is that it's going to be a learning experience. Because at this point, we don't know when Agnes is coming back or if she's coming back. And so for the time being, the Mountain Lions have got to figure out a way to adjust. She had 5 goals in 6 games. Clearly an offensive powerhouse. But the Mountain Lions are stacked. They have a lot of depth. And it's time for some of the younger players to start stepping up. And it's not to say that they can't do that. Because in the game previously, where the Mountain Lions did win, when Agnes was there, we had Michaela Mansfield step up in that game, and she scored her first collegiate goal ever. And that's what the Mountain Lions need. Now, Agnes was in that game, but in the following game, there was no goals scored at all by UCCS. It's got to be somebody like Mansfield, although a young player. It's got to be somebody who is good, talented, and has the skills. They got to get more aggressive.
That's right.
They got to step up and fill the void of Agnes Arnedottir, because Agnes is great, but the Mountain Lions as a team are better.
That's right.
And they've got to pull together and figure a way out to overcome that situation and get back on the winning side of things. They're still 6-1 overall. I mean, that is a really good record. And like you said, a learning experience. Let's see how they come back in their next game, which is going to be this Friday, October 4th, against Regis at the March.
At the March.
At the March. It's the March. The March is going down. The March is happening. And the March is exciting. Do you know about the March?
I don't know about the March.
You don't know about the March?
No.
You don't know anything about the March?
From my understanding, though, I believe you start at a certain point and you march down to 4 diamonds.
Okay, well...
To the game?
Yes.
Am I close?
This is correct. And we have the inside information from Nick Hostetter, who we met with last year for the March, and he told us all about the March and what it will entail. And so let's go ahead and hear what Mr. Nick has to say about all that, you know?
All right.
Let's go right from the expert. Nick from OSA. Nick, what do you have to say? Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined right now in the studio by Nick Hostetter, who is the graduate assistant for OSA, that is the Office of Student Activities here at UCCS. And Nick is in charge of the annual march that we're hosting this Friday night as UCCS takes on Colorado Christian for soccer action at Mountain Lion Field. Nick, we'd like to thank you for stopping by. And could you just tell our listening Lions out there a little bit about the March and what it is all about?
Sure. So the March is one of our few
student events.
Yes, that we do that promotes athletics and school spirit. So it all start in the housing quad up on main campus. There'll be face painting, body painting.
Body painting.
I think Martin's in for that. I think Martin wants to get all painted up for the games.
You should.
The whole body?
Sure.
So if Martin goes down there, you'll paint him up? You guys will take care of him?
I will not, but
Somebody will, though. Somebody will paint Martin.
You know what? They're going to have to bring a lot of paint.
They're going to need a lot of paint to paint Martin up. So what happens? They all meet. These are all freshmen or students who live in the dormitories here on campus?
It is all students. Doesn't matter if you live on campus or on campus. We'll meet there. Kind of like a pep rally, and then we'll march down to 4 Diamonds, where there'll be T-shirts, more free food, pizza, soccer games, and a surprise at halftime.
Surprise at halftime.
Surprise
Ooh,
at halftime.
Who doesn't like surprises at halftime?
Yeah.
That's right.
That is awesome.
So you guys are giving free shirts, Monster, food, and a surprise.
And a surprise, yes.
Nice.
So how many students do you anticipate coming out for this event?
500.
500
Hopefully
students.
more.
Approximately.
I think that would be the biggest crowd reception we've had, biggest attendance for any game, just in the students alone, if we had that many show up. So that'd be great. And why do you do all this? What is this for? What's the point of this march?
We do it as part of homecoming week.
Ah, it's homecoming.
It is homecoming.
I see. So that's a way to kick off some of the festivities for the annual homecoming week here is part of the march.
Yep, it's actually one of the last events, but
closing out the homecoming.
Closing out homecoming week big. Yep.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, Nick, we'd like to thank you for stopping by the studio, and we'd like to encourage anybody and everybody out there, all of our listening Lions, to stop by, get painted with Martin, come for a surprise, get some pizza. It's going to be a lot of fun, or at least Nick says it's going to be a lot of fun.
It will.
It will be.
I promise.
Nick promises it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, Nick, thanks for stopping by.
The surprise is I'm going to be streaking a full body paint during.
I was going to go until that. It's all right. It's still going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
There won't be anybody left after that.
No, he's going to scare everybody away. Well, thanks again, Nick, for stopping by, and we look forward to seeing you at our at the March this
Thank you.
Friday night. And that was Nick from last year's March. But Amber, most of the details are going to be the same. Aside from maybe Martin streaking and getting body painted, I think everything else is going to be pretty much the same.
You know what the main reason to come is? Free food and free shirts.
That's right.
Can't
if you're
go
a
wrong.
college student, you got to clamor to anything free, especially food
Right.
and shirts.
That's right.
Do you know how many free shirts I have from working at UCCS Athletics for the years I've worked here?
How many?
Like half a closet full of free Mountain Lion shirts. It's so great.
You don't have to buy clothes like ever.
I know, never.
You don't have to waste money on it.
The ARC is going to be so excited when I graduate because I got so much to donate from UCCS. It's going to be fantastic. But the March this weekend, as the Mountain Lions are going to kick off homecoming weekend. And homecoming week is all this week, but really for athletics, homecoming is Friday night
That's
and
right.
Saturday night. We got soccer, we got volleyball, we got a lot of stuff going on. And again, for UCCS Athletics, it begins October 4th for the March when UCCS plays Regis, starting with the women at 5 o'clock. The women's soccer team will be back in action on Sunday as they travel to play Colorado Mesa, which is kind of odd. Usually if you host Friday, you host Sunday, but we're hosting Friday and traveling Sunday, but that's cool. We're going to win either way.
That's
Doesn't
right.
matter, here or there or anywhere. Well, we got to get going, Amber, because the time is coming up quickly for the show to end, and we still got a lot to cover.
That's right.
We got to breeze through this stuff. But the men's soccer team was also in action this past weekend, and my main man, James Roberts, unbelievable. He scored 3 goals in 2 games, also had an assist. I mean, this man is on fire. He is tearing it up. First, the UCCS men's team tied Colorado Mesa 1-1. That was a pretty good game. James Roberts scored the only UCCS goal in that one. And then the Mountain Lions beat number 16, the 16th ranked team in all of Division II, Fort Lewis. They beat them 3-2. In that game, Amber, Roberts scored another 2 goals and an assist. Are you kidding me?
He was like on fire this whole entire week, and then
You know
must
what?
have been.
Well, I talked to Jared Werner again earlier, Sports Information Director. He has a strong feeling that James Robert is a great candidate and possibly may receive the Player of the Week award. I think when you score all those goals, 3 goals and 1 assist in 2 games, that is pretty impeccable. And the results are pretty good too. They did tie Colorado Mesa, but they beat the 16th ranked team in the nation in Fort Lewis. And then they lost to Colorado Mines 1-2, but that team is very good too, Amber. They're ranked 9th in the nation. So, I mean,
Any team you have to lose to might as well be one.
might as well be ranked 9th, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
might as well be one that's ranked 9th.
Right, and according to you,
And
that's
you
not
still
even,
put up a good fight, so it's like,
right. You said
not-
earlier that's not even really a loss.
it's not.
Right,
You
okay.
could put up a good fight against a higher ranked team than what you are.
It's not a loss.
Yeah.
We got to talk to Jared Werner and have him adjust those statistics because Amber said it's not a loss.
It's not.
We got to correct that on the stats.
That's right.
Not a loss. Well, ideally, what's not a loss again is this Friday when UCCS men's team also plays Regis at the March. That game, a little bit later, 7:30. But guess what, Amber?
What?
I'm going to be there.
You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
There
I'm
you go.
announcing for that game. So for the millions and millions of listening Lions out there, come out and support the team and support me announcing.
That's right.
It's going to be great. You know what, Amber? Because I'm announcing there, do you know what you're going to be doing?
I will be announcing at the volleyball
That's
game.
right. You're doing play-by-play for the volleyball match
right.
that same night on Friday. So how exciting is that? I'll be announcing for soccer. You're doing play-by-play for volleyball. The Lions Den is taking over UCCS Athletics this weekend. How about that?
That's right.
Well, that's a pretty good transition into the next sport that we do need to cover, which is UCCS volleyball, because they were in action this past weekend. They traveled to Spearfish, South Dakota, and swept Black Hills State 3-0 in that match. The following night, they went to Shattern, Nebraska, and beat Shattern State 3-1. So, very good overall performance for UCCS. And as a result, the Mountain Lions are doing really well.
That's right.
I mean, this Mountain Lion team they're a good team. They're a youthful team, and they're going to be good now and in the future. And we talked to head coach Chrissy Elder last week here on the show, and she's very confident in this team. And I'm not surprised that the UCCS won both games this weekend. But one thing I am surprised about, just a little bit, not to say that she didn't have a stellar performance, but finally a player of the week for UCCS volleyball.
Oh, snap.
I don't know if you know this, Amber, but I do all the nominations for the volleyball team, and I nominate our players every week to win this award. And personally, I thought we had a couple weeks where we had some very worthy players.
Right.
And they didn't win. But this week, Heather Sanders was named the RMAC Defensive Player of the Week. And so congratulations to Heather Sanders. And do you know what other award she might win as a result of winning that award?
The Shining Lion.
That is right, Amber. We have our Shining Lion of the Week. That is number 8, Heather Sanders, the seniors from right here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Previous school was Otero Junior College. And she is really come into her own this season as one of the leaders of this Mountain Lion team that doesn't have many seniors, but she is one of them. She is a great player. She's been working on her serve all summer long, and now she's got the defense down. She's the starting libero for UCCS now, and over the weekend, Heather Sanders did lead UCCS defensively to 2 conference road wins. Sanders recorded 44 digs in 7 sets.
Amazing.
For an average of 6.29 per set. She also added 4 service aces over the weekend. So a dominant performance defensively, adding in offensively. As a result, the Mountain Lions went ahead and swept the weekend. And now, Amber, they're sitting pretty good with an overall record of 7-5. Even more important, a conference record of 3-1.
That's amazing.
That is good
great
stuff. That's good stuff.
They're bringing the thunder.
Bringing the thunder. That's right. And I think the thunder will continue to be brought in this weekend as UCCS. They're in store for a tough weekend. I'm not even going to lie here, Amber. This is going to be a tough weekend. But as we were talking with Coach Elder last weekend, it's a favorable schedule for UCCS. They play the tough teams on the road. The tough teams at home and the easier teams on the road. We saw them play some of the easier teams this past weekend, and they won in straight sets and then won 3-1. That's what they needed to do. Well, now this weekend they're at home against 2 of the tougher teams in the RMAC. They're going to play Metro State on Friday, the same night as the March. So for the millions and millions of listening Lions, go to the March and then come up to Gallogly and support the volleyball team too. Because we don't want it to be a ghost town in Gallogly because everybody's at the March. So come do both. But then on Saturday night, Mountain Lions are back in action. The volleyball team hosts 23-ranked Regis. Now that is going to be a very competitive match. This is going to be a great test for UCCS, Amber. Where do the Mountain Lions stand in the RMAC? Can they compete with the best? We know that they're good. Last weekend, they really held their own against Colorado Mines, who is a very good team as well, nationally ranked. And now, back at home. 2 tough teams. That's going to be exciting, though. Let's see what the Mountain Lions can do. What do you think, Amber?
I think we're going to be able to put up a good fight.
Well, if nothing else, even if they don't, the millions and millions of listening Lions can enjoy Friday's broadcast, as our own Amber McAfee is going to be doing play-by-play, so be sure to check that out. You can watch those games on the America One networks. That's how you listen to Amber's broadcast. Don't miss out. That's going to be exciting. Amber, that's going to be the first game that you've called on your own in a live setting with the game going down.
That's right.
How do you feel about that?
I'm a little nervous.
A little nervous, but super excited, right?
Yeah, I was like, but
That's
excited.
Right.
So.
That's what matters most. I think that is great. You know what else is exciting here at UCCS?
What?
New programs!
That's right.
Like the women's golf program, which finished second this past weekend. They had 3 golfers in the top 10. They were led by Jamie Zuck, who had a 171 on the weekend. Now I tell you, Amber, it's exciting when UCCS can add a new program. It's even more exciting when UCCS can add a new program and instantly be good at it.
That's right.
You know, there's no point in adding a new program if we're going to suck it up for a couple years, not be competitive. There's really no point. But that's not what UCCS does. We add the golf program, and already they're a contender. Again, they finished second this past weekend in South Fork, Colorado at the Rio Grande Club. The Mountain Lions, they're doing a pretty good job. I would say, starting off this season, the inaugural season for the program, they're doing pretty good. And Miss Jamie Zuck leading the team, she's got a bright future ahead of her as well.
She does.
That's exciting stuff. Well, there was another golf team in action. This time, it was on the men's side. And the men finished second. Oh, excuse me, that was the women. I'm still stuck on how well the women did because they did pretty good. But the men, led by Matt Vanderbeek. Matt Vanderbeek shot a 69 in the final round at the Hillcrest Golf Course in Durango last weekend. We told you live during the show they were in action, and UCCS tied for 5th place. Well, Amber, they're in action again. Guess when?
Right now!
You know where? In Oregon.
Holy cow.
You know, I've had this conversation a few times with a few different people, and I've always said if I was a member of any team, now please correct me because you're on a team here.
Right.
I never had that insight before, but I'd want to be on the golf team because they travel to all these luxurious places like Oregon. I mean, I don't know how luxurious Oregon is, but I mean, they go to some pretty exotic places. They get to travel all around the United States.
That's right. They do travel to the best places, but at the same time, I'd kind of rather just chill back on the other teams. That way I could keep up my academics and keep up my grades. Because when you miss class, it's so hard to get caught back up. So
I think that's great.
I don't know.
Because you know what comes first in student-athlete? Student. The student part comes first.
That's right.
You know, the name is what it implies. Student, then athlete. Amber, you're a student, then an athlete. So are our athletes all across the board here at UCCS. But I'll tell you, how much fun would that be to get to go to Oregon and all these other places?
That'll be fun.
That is fun.
They do travel to the best places. So.
That is true. But, you know,
it is.
It's still fun to run.
That's right.
It's still fun to run around Colorado Springs. It's beautiful in the springs. Why would you want to go anywhere?
We have the best scenery here, so...
That's right. People come from all around the world to see this Pikes Peak and this scenery. So, fair enough. But the men's golf team in action right now. We're going to give you all those results next week here on the Lions Den.
That's right.
Amber, this is like the saddest part of the show for me every week. Because it means that things are coming to an end and the show concludes. The show must go on, other shows must come on, and the Lions Den will be back in a week. But before we go, we always got to do the what to watch for. So Amber, would you tell the millions and millions of listening Lions out there what to watch for?
That's right. As we already mentioned, we have men's golf happening right now in Oregon. On Friday, the march will be going down. Women's soccer will be playing in Regis, followed by the men's soccer team, who is also playing in Regis. Volleyball will be taking on Metro State Friday, and cross country will be in Washington's Park in Denver, competing. So therefore, you have a weekend full of fun.
That's right. There's a lot of stuff going down.
Right.
So if you didn't know what you were going to do this weekend, if you don't know, now you know.
That's right.
You got UCCS athletics starting Friday all the way into Sunday. Get ready. And again, if you want more information for any of these events or anything else regarding UCCS athletics, be sure to check out GoMountainLions.com for the latest information and news. And be sure to like us on Facebook at The Lions Den UCCS and follow us on Twitter at The Lions Den UCCS. And of course, you can always stalk us in real life. But until next time, Amber, go Mountain Lions!